Hi guys, it's Heather from Geek Girls. When I did my deck collection video, I was asked if I would show off a couple of the decks in more details, and one of those decks was the Everyday Witch Tarot by Deborah Blake. Try saying that when you've had a few. And while I have some spare time, I thought I would do that for you now. I'm not gonna do too much of a review. Oh my word, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me and words this evening. They're just not happening. Try that again, put my teeth back in. So I'm not gonna do like a full review of the deck, but I will talk a bit about the cards as they come up. If there's particular cards that I have particular feelings on and stuff, I'll probably talk about it a little bit. I'm going to try not to make this video too long, but the last time I said that, a video ended up being 30 minutes, so we'll see how we go. I mean, just in terms of the general stuff, so the box is your new standard Llewellyn flip box, which are really sturdy and I really love. Although mine is, I don't even think you can see it on here, but can you see? No, it's got like scratches and things written on it and all sorts. You see that at all? No. The box is a bit of a mess because I've written on bits of paper on top of it and stuff and not really thought about what I was doing to the box. So, but I'm not really bothered. It's a box, right? It's not that big a deal. I love the inside of the box. The book is another good size Llewellyn book, 249 pages. Actually, there's more than that, I think. It's got an intro, and it's broken into chapters. So chapter 1 is about the deck and how to use it and how to do a reading. Chapter 2 is common questions and answers and some tarot extras. Chapter 3 is the major and the minor arcana, and chapter 4 is just a conclusion, which is just a couple of pages. What I love about this particular book is that when you get into the cards, it's got like a full colour illustration of the card right here, which I love. It's got like a little quote underneath. So the magician, for example, is the magic is inside you. And then a little like keyword thing. You have all the tools you need to accomplish your goals. It tells you about the card, so what's on the card and why the card's depicted the way it is. And then it's got things to consider when it comes up in your reading. One thing I'm not so keen on is this. Throughout the book, there are these note pages. Like, it's not the best design paper to write on. I mean, if you can see where it's hitting the light, it's really glossy paper. So it's not the best paper to write on, and B, who does that anyway? Who writes in these? Like, it just feels like such a waste of a page. They could have made the book smaller, because they literally have them after every one of the majors, and then at the end of a set of minors they have them. So at the end of 1 to 10 they have them. I don't get it. I just don't get it. But anyway, I certainly won't be writing in them. The spreads at the back are a bit generic. They've got 1 card, 3 card, Celtic cross, and that's it. That's the 3 card, the spreads at the back. But it's a good book. Like, it's a really good book. In so much as it's got a lot of information in it. I always say that I like the books that come with these decks, and then I never actually read them. My friend reads them. Like, she carries them around in her bag and she reads them from cover to cover, and it's really impressive. And she quite often, like the last time I saw her, she was reading a different one, and she had the card she was reading, she had tucked inside the book on the right page, so she could look at the card at the same time. Like, she's really dedicated. I'm not. The backs are lovely. They're just lovely. Look at that, the cat with the broom and the little witch's hat. And they're obviously not designed to be read in reverse, because you would see if they were reversed pretty easily. The cardstock is Llewellyn cardstock, so it's really thin, which I keep saying I really like. However, again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but because I riffle shuffle, my cards are really bent and they look a bit battered, and I've had this deck for just over a year and it already looks a little bit battered, and the tops are a little bit battered and stuff where I riffle shuffle them. So they're card stock, and can you see there, look, it's like white, like it's coming away at the top. They're just, I'm not great, I don't handle them very well, and they're not very hard wearing, so that's always something to bear in mind. Now I love this style, the artwork style. So some people love it and some people that I've spoken to hate it and are almost offended by it. As a witch, there was a potential for me to be offended by this deck, but I really love that whole whimsical, stereotypical witch thing. I don't, you know, personally, I don't take it too seriously in that respect. I take my own practice very seriously and I take my own beliefs very seriously, but I don't take myself so seriously that this kind of thing offends me. I think when she talks about it in the book, she talks about those old like picture postcard things. That's what inspired her. But when I see this card particularly, it makes me think of The Worst Witch. I don't know if anybody remembers The Worst Witch, but the books, not the TV show. I was way too old for the TV show, but the books, that's what it makes me think of, The Worst Witch. I think they're really modern. I really like the artwork. I think it's really, really modern. And I just, from the minute I got this deck, I just really connected with it. Like the High Priestess is a card that I don't always connect with very well. I kind of get it, but I kind of just, I get the, you know, the keyword sort of book meaning of it. But it was this card that really made me connect to it on a level that I really understood, with the whole divination and then all the books. So the you know, the combination of book knowledge and intuition and the balance between the two. I really like that. I'm really sorry, I don't know if you can hear that, but my dog has stolen a wrapper, cat food wrapper, out of the bin, and he's licking the inside of it and doing it with his back to me so that I don't notice that's what he's doing. So if you can hear that noise, that's what it is. So I do apologise. I really like the Empress. Personally, for me, there's not enough dogs in this deck. I know she's gone for black cats, and I love the black cats, and actually you can read so much just from looking at the black cats alone and what they're doing in each card. It gives you so much insight into what that card's about. But I wish there was more dogs, personally. I am a dog person. I love my cats too, but I am definitely a dog person. Although my dog is very close to dying if he doesn't stop making that noise. Logan, what have you got? Look of guilt, it's hilarious. So the Emperor has a dog too, which I like. I really like this card. The Hierophant, which is a card I talk about a lot. This is by far my favourite depiction of the Hierophant that I have seen. I totally get the whole teacher-student convention, passing on tradition from this card. I get that in a way that I don't get it on any other Hierophant. There's just, and it's not like, I don't have this natural aversion to this card because I don't see that whole orthodoxy and control and conformity in this card that I see in some of the other Hierophant cards. So I really, really like this one. The Lovers I like the fact that the Lovers is a bit ambiguous about the gender of the Lovers. Like, that could easily be two women. It could easily be two guys with long hair. It could easily be a man and a woman. You know, it's actually quite difficult to tell. And I like that. I think that's, whether that was deliberate or not, I don't know, but I think that's a good touch on that card. I love the motorbike in the Chariot and the little cat. Can you see the little cat in there? That's amazing, right? Again, the Chariot it kind of reads a bit different for me because you've got the this way, that way. It's kind of got that whole taking control and making decisions and picking the right way vibe to it. And rather than kind of balancing out between the two, it's more about having to choose between the two. Again, the Strength card, my favourite Strength card. I tell you what I love about this Strength card. I love that this is a woman who is so sure of her ability and has so much self-confidence that she don't even need to check if her magic is working. She knows it is. She's so aware of her ability and so sure of her ability and so grounded in her ability that she doesn't even need to look. She's that confident. And I really like that. I really think this Strength card speaks of confidence and self-assurance and self-esteem and self-worth, and I love all of that. This could end up being a very long video. I do apologise if it is, and if you make it to the end, I'll be very impressed. So I love this hermit. Again, I love this hermit. I love that it's just her animals, a fire, you know, the cat's asleep, and she's, you know, it looks like she's meditating. She's just really chilled out. I really like it. I think it's a really, really good card. I'm not going to talk about every card because we will literally be here all night. The Hanged Man, I really like that. Again, I don't know if you can see, if I get it too close it goes too blurry, but I like that the Hanged Man is chained up, but that he holds the key to his chain in his hands. So his freedom is in his own hands. It's up to him to free himself, and he can free himself at any time. He's actually choosing to be in that position. He's choosing to make that sacrifice and take that time in suspension. I like that. The Death card took a little while to grow on me, actually. I wasn't keen on this Death card when I first got this deck. I find that whole no face mask thing really, really creepy. I don't really like it. It does creep me out. I do have a thing about eyes and faces and wanting to be able to read faces. But it's actually really grown on me. And now, quite often when I draw this card, it makes me think about needing to kind of kill off the persona that we hide behind, that person that we present to the world. It's time to remove that mask. It's time for that mask to die and for us to embrace who we really are and show our real selves to the world. So I kind of get that from this Death card. It's really grown on me. Temperance, again, I adore. That card just speaks of balance and moderation, and you know, she's got the cupcakes on one side and the carrots on the other, and a martini glass and some water. You know, it's all about that, everything in moderation. Everything is good for you in moderation kind of thing. And she's got like one eye open as well. Like she's all calm and posed and everything, but she's just got to keep one eye open just to make sure. This card I don't like. I don't like this Devil. This is not the Devil card in the way that I would view the Devil card. I think he's really creepy, and I don't know, there's just something about the way that he's looking at that boy, and it's just, it makes me uncomfortable, this card. It's my least favourite card in the pack. I'm not going to say anything about that. The Tower is great. The Tower is a great card. I love the fact that she's got, I love, I just love this deck. That she, you know, you can see from the glowing of her wand and the look on her face that she's probably had something to do with the collapse of this tower. And I think that that speaks a lot to circumstances in our lives. And quite often when our lives collapse and when we have our tower moments, on some level, we are responsible for them and we do bring them to pass. And the difference here is that she has chosen to accept that. She's chosen to accept that she is responsible for the fall of the tower, and to embrace it. I mean, look at her face. This is not a woman who feels bad about the decision that she's made that's destroyed that tower. She's accepted her fate and she's embraced it, and I really love that. Some of them, as I say, I'm not really going to talk about. I'll just show you. I like the Mother Maiden Crone symbolism on this card. Mother Maiden Crone does not feature in my path at all. It's not something that I really work with or even necessarily feel overly comfortable with for other reasons that I won't go into in this video, but I you know, you get the joy and the freedom and the, you know, having your day in the sun feeling from this card. So I think it absolutely depicts what it's trying to depict. Judgment is another of my favourites, like dancing to your own music, going your own way, embracing who you are. I love that. And the World. Who wouldn't want to be having a picnic on that beach right now? Love it. Say, I really love this deck. This is the deck that I read for by myself. For myself. Even when I'm working on other decks of the month, this deck is always out because it is my own personal go-to deck. I have a really, really strong connection with this deck. I'm not sure I would call it my soul deck, partly because that's only a phrase that I've heard in the last couple of days and not something that I've ever really thought about, and I don't really know that I necessarily understand what is meant by a soul deck, so I wouldn't want to go so far as to say this is my soul deck. But it is a deck that I just really love it, and I really connect to it, and I really feel that girl in the Nine of Wands right there, that, you know, you've won this battle, but you need to take some time out and restock before you can go on to face the next one. And sometimes I totally feel this Ten of Wands too. Totally feel that. That lazy ass cat. She's got all that to carry, and even the cat won't carry herself. I love that the knights are on brooms rather than on horses. Oh my word, I have no idea why I couldn't remember the word then. I like this too, look, so the knight is going to go off and battle the dragon. The queen has totally conquered that dragon, domesticated it, made it her bitch. I love that. I don't know why the king is talking to a cat, but, you know, hey. That cat is giving that king his undivided attention, so... I like that the aces have people doing stuff in them. They're maybe not doing very much, but they're doing something. I find that that makes them a little bit easier to read for me, rather than the generic, you know, aces of the potential of the suit. So the Ace of Swords represents the potentiality of challenges and communication and beginnings and, you know, I like that there's something there for me to look at and to, like, get me to start telling myself a story about the card in my head. This is the only card in the entire deck that does not have a person in it. She doesn't really talk about why in the book that she's chosen not to depict a person. But it's really interesting that the Three of Swords is the only card where the person is not in the card. I think there was actually a whole conversation about it on one of the Facebook groups I was in, and I know it made some people feel very, very uncomfortable for their own reasons. I just find it very interesting that that's that decision was made to have that one card that had no people and no animals in it. The Nine of Swords I love. The Nine of Swords is a card that I have this real, like, almost affinity for, because I totally get that girl, because I am an overanalyzer. I am a worrier. I do overthink everything. So I totally get that feeling of overthinking, overanalyzing, you know, obsessing about a situation. But I love the fact that the sun is coming up and there's that reminder that, you know, it's a new day, it's a new opportunity. It always feels that little bit darker before the dawn. I actually think the Nine of Swords in this deck is possibly one of the most positive Nine of Swords cards I've seen, even though on the surface it doesn't necessarily look like it is. You know, there's the bird singing on the windowsill. I think there's a lot of positives to take from this card. I hope the light isn't shining on these too badly. I've got the top light on, the big light as we call it in my house, and unfortunately sometimes it just catches the cards in the wrong place. So hopefully it's not. The Queen of Swords is my, like, if I was going to choose a card to represent me, this is the one I would pick. She's not the queen I want to be, but she's definitely the queen that I am. I'm a Libran, so I'm an air sign. You know, and I get that whole analytical, like, logical, blunt. I am all of those things. I am a total Queen of Swords. She is the queen that I am, that, you know, sometimes I try and rail against being, but she is my queen. I think even the Three of Cups has gone for a little bit of a maiden mother crone thing going on there. But I like that they're in the water. Like, they're so carefree. They've just got right in there. They don't care. I hope there's wine in that coat. Those cups are not water though. Genuinely like the images that have been put inside these cups, but like some of them I'm not really sure what they are. So there's one just here and I'm not entirely sure. I think it's supposed to be money, but I'm not sure. And then I'm not really sure what the stars are supposed to represent and stuff. So I think if you think about these as things that she's trying to choose between, I'm not necessarily sure I understand what everything is supposed to be representing, but you know, even the cats, like, seriously, how long is this gonna take, love? I'll just sit here and have a clean. But I do, you know, I like the card. I'm just not sure I necessarily get the choices of everything in the cup. I like on this one as well that she looks very calm and very sure of herself, and she's done and she's got what she wanted. And, you know, normally in the Nine of Cups there's that little bit of a warning about smugness. Like, the guy has a really smug look on his face, and it's quite often a reminder not to be too smug and not to be too complacent. And I like that in this one she's kind of done that with the cat and the crab. So she's all, you know, happy in her little world. She's got what she wanted. She's feeling pretty sure of herself, and she's kind of switched off to the danger around her. And there is that little, you know, she could be about to take a tumble if she doesn't start paying attention and stop being quite so sure that everything is fine. This is my favourite page. This is my favourite page in the whole deck. It's so creative, artistic, you know, free, wild. I love it. The Knight of Cups is an interesting one. The Knight of Cups comes up for me occasionally, and the Knight of Cups is, and this is one of the things I love about this deck, is the Knight of Cups is one of those ones where sometimes I notice all the lovely hearts and he's chasing the hearts, and it's all about chasing your heart and going after what your heart wants. And sometimes I notice that the cat is in a little bit of a precarious position there, and he's not really paying attention, and if he doesn't watch what's happening, if he focuses too much on this, he's going to lose his cat. And then sometimes the first thing I see is the shark, and it's that whole, you know, being so caught up in the love and the heart stuff that you're blind to the dangers, you're blind to the real dangers around you that could potentially cause you a lot of damage. If you fall, you could be in a lot of trouble. So depending on, you know, what this card is trying to tell me depends on where my focus tends to go first. So I'm nearly done. I knew this was going to be a long video. I don't really have much to say about the Ace of Pentacles or the Ace of Pentacles, any of the Pentacles. You know, they're all, this is a deck that I just love, and there are a few cards that, you know, spark some stuff in me, but, oh, just one probably, actually, when I think about that, and it's the Nine of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles is another card that feels like my card. It's a strong, independent woman who's on her own, who has built things for herself. And that's very much who I am and how I feel. And this, this is the Nine of Pentacles I want to be. She's so comfortable in what she's achieved that she's actually taking time out to read a book and have a glass of wine. You know, see, she's so sure that her foundations are stable, and that she's worked hard, and that she is about to reap her rewards, and that she's grown this shit for herself, that she can take that time out for herself. And I like that. I think it's a lot nicer than some of the other depictions of the Nine of Pentacles, which quite often can make her seem a little bit lonely. I don't think there's anything lonely about that one. And this is the queen that I want to be. Like, this is, for me, she's like the ultimate Earth Mother. You know, she's like the ultimate grounded, stable foundation who is quite happy to let her little children go off and live their lives and do their thing, and know that there's always a place they can come back to. There's always a center, there's always a home, there's always that grounded, strong, stable, matriarchal center for them to return to. And she's a pentacle, so she's organized, she's grounded, she's centered, she's in charge, she knows what she wants, she plans, she's, you know, she's good with money and all that kind of stuff. She's absolutely the person that I am not, but would love to be. So she is, the Queen is who I am, the Queen of Swords is who I am, the Queen of Pentacles is who I wish I was. And I know some people don't like this card. I'm pretty sure it was one that Julie from Peekaboo Rose doesn't like. I'm so sorry if I said your channel wrong. It felt wrong as it came out, but hopefully that was right. But I love it. I love that whole have your cake and eat it, and you know, it's another one with a dog, and it's you know, it's just a really good card. I really like this card. I think this card really depicts the King of Pentacles really, really well. So So there you go, that was more of a walkthrough than a review. So I probably won't necessarily refer to this as a review, but hopefully it gave you a good view of the deck and gave you a little bit of an insight into why I love this deck so much and some of the cards that I find fascinating. If you work with this deck or if you've used this deck, I'd love to know your thoughts on it. So please do drop me a comment in the box below, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, lots of love. Bye bye.